Everyone is making content and saying that you need to be making content. Post content weekly, post content daily, my content all the time, or at least consistently. Should you even be making content and about what? Worry about the algorithm and what the hell are analytics and when does it all stop? If you are stressed about making content and you don't know where to start, this video is for you. I'm Dom, your friendly artist turned entrepreneur, and I'm here to talk about content. What is it? Why is it so important? Why is it getting more important as time goes on? And if you stay till the end, I'll let you know how and why I'm making content so you can get started, or you can steal my process and get started on making your own content today. Okay, so let's just start at the top. What is even content? So, content, I would say content is anything that can be consumed by a viewer or a customer. And a lot of times it's things that we don't even think about. It's text, it's emails, social media posts, it's photos, videos, it's website text, it's brochures. All of these things and more can all count as content. Okay, so now that we know what content is, why is content so important? First, more and more businesses are going digital by the day. Everything is going more digital by the day. So, the less digital you are, the less sales you'll have. When you think about it, when you are trying to find the answer to a problem or you're trying to find a product that's a solution to a problem, what's the first thing you do? Usually you would look it up. You would check Google or you might check YouTube. You may even check Amazon. But first, you would do a little bit of research, right? So if a company isn't online, how would you even know that they are a solution to your problem, right? If you make content on whatever your expertise is in, then you will be able to sell more products or services of that thing. People will come to know, like, and trust you a lot more because they'll be able to see content that you've made. What else? It'll definitely allow you to reach a bigger audience. If you are not online, then your products and everything are kind of confined to the people around you, the people that you're talking to. As with if you're online, then you'll be able to reach a wider audience. I may be in Atlanta. I may be able to talk to someone who's in Las Vegas or San Francisco or Zimbabwe. It's also useful to document things. So if you have experiences or you're an educational content creator, you can document the things that you're learning. You can document the experiences that you've had. And that's another way that people can grow to like and trust you. Okay, so if none of that convinced you to make any content, here are some benefits that may be useful. So, first, it can help to build a brand. If you want to build a business around a certain thing, making content around that certain thing would help to build essentially your brand with that thing. Not necessarily build a brand with it, it'll help you build your authority with that thing, and then people will grow to know, like, and trust you and buy more of your products. That's another benefit of creating content. Help you sell more products or services, whether those are your products, or someone else's products through affiliate marketing. Another benefit of creating content is it has a long shelf life. If you send a brochure out to someone, they may throw that brochure away. Or if you meet someone in person, they may forget. But if you make content, let's say YouTube, for example, that content would live there for a long time. It would have a long shelf life. You could come back to see a video that's been made 2, 4, 5 years ago, and it still be relevant to what you're talking about. Another benefit of making content is it's a potential pathway to monetization. And whether that's through affiliates, like I was mentioning earlier, or brand partnerships, or ad revenue, there are a whole bunch of different ways that you can monetize content, which is very cool. Another thing that I briefly mentioned before is social proof. So it could be a log of your experiences or knowledge, the things that you've learned, things like that. And then another benefit is it can attract things to you as well. Say you're building a business and you are trying to attract talent. If you are creating content, that will be much easier. If you are trying to attract other things like cash flow, if you're trying to attract community, um, all of these things can be facilitated with content. Another great benefit is I believe it has a bigger ROI, return on investment, than a lot of other things. For example, let's say cold calling versus making content, right? So, cold calling, you may get the benefit of having immediate success if that person, is open to whatever you're talking about. But because that person doesn't know you, like you, trust you, it's kind of a 50-50. Whereas making content is a little more, how do I explain? It's a little less of a risk, if that makes sense. It makes consuming whatever you're making, it makes consuming your product or your service less of a risk. So people will again be able to gauge if you're competent, if you know what you're talking about through that content before they're able to buy, as opposed to cold calling, where someone may not have that benefit, especially if you're a beginner. Now, if you are, a seasoned professional and you have all this document experience, then, things may be a little bit different for you. But if you are an absolute complete beginner, then making content may go a little bit further in term of return on your investment than cold calling in that way. That's just an example. Does not work for every situation. Take that with a grain of salt. Okay, so those are some of the advantages. And we don't want to pretend like, making content is the greatest thing in the world. So let's talk about some of the disadvantages. So, of course, it's going to take a lot of time and a lot of effort. Um, Making content is a job, just like any other job. It takes time, it takes effort and work, and you have to learn at it, you have to get better. Another disadvantage is it's always changing, so there's always things to learn. What may be popular or working in terms of content right now may not be working in a couple months, may not be working in a couple years. So there's always a need to learn and reinvent yourself. Um, and also, it can take a little bit of, if I'm being honest, a little bit of fortitude. It's going to take a little bit uh, of mental effort, of mental strength to make content, because it is a thing that can make you feel kind of vulnerable. People may see it, people may judge it. They may say crazy things about it, or even strangers on the internet absolutely will judge it. So it takes a level of fortitude and getting past yourself in order to make content. So, yeah. Okay, and then some of the reasons that I'm making content and you might want to create content as well. First, like I mentioned before, documenting those experiences, those thoughts, things that I learn. I want to be able to pass them on. Um, hopefully they'll be able to help someone else. Um, and I'll be able to look back on those to review them for clarity. Did I do what I say that? Did I do what I said I was going to do? Did I change directions or make a pivot? Why was that? And then all of those things will also be able to be social proof as well. Another reason is to experiment with making content. I want to try to do different things. I want to try different writing styles, different topics, different thumbnail styles, and different backgrounds. Like I want to just try and experiment. Like I actually want to be good at making content. I kind of low key always wanted to be a teacher. I don't know necessarily think teacher. I feel like my end game was always to be a teacher, and I feel like making content is a way that I can do that while also learning at the same time, if that makes sense. Yeah, so I want to challenge myself. Another thing I want to do is take just messy action. It doesn't have to be perfect, it doesn't have to be the best thing that's ever been created, but I do want to take consistent action, not sitting and planning to take action or saying that I'm going to take action, but actually doing something. And making content is going to be that thing for me. And it's also going to help me move fast enough not to overthink. I'm the type of person if I have the ability to sit with it for too long, then I'll overthink. And instead, I want to document my experiences, put it out there, and move on. Go to something else. And then also, I want to attract those opportunities versus hunting for them opportunities or hunting for those opportunities. Kind of like I mentioned a little bit earlier, the cold calling versus making content. I want to be able to show people my competencies in things and then have them either come to me for help with those things, or whether that's through a product or a service or whatever, as opposed to trying to find people individually and then convince them that I could be a person that may be able to help them with XYZ job. I want to cut a lot of that out and draw people in. Kind of use a net instead of a spear, if that makes sense. Um, and then also, I really want to create community, like learning about business, about entrepreneurship. Sometimes it can be very lonely or isolating or whatever. A lot of times you could be just in a room by yourself in front of a computer or in front of a book. Um, so I want to have a community of people just helping each other learn and grow and make the world better through business and entrepreneurship. That's also another reason why I'm creating content, because that's what I want to do. I want to make the world better through business and entrepreneurship. And I really personally feel like if more people had business and entrepreneurial skills and knowledge, the world would be better because people would have more freedom. You would understand how business works, so you'd be able to provide value to your CEO or manager or whatever and make more money. Or you could be more in control of your life and create a business of your own that allows you to make the kind of money to survive and be with your family, and also make a contribution to the world, to your community, all through entrepreneurship. And to be honest, I believe that none of it works without entrepreneurship, without business. None of it works. Like, I truly believe that no part of society would really work without it. So I think society would be better functioning if more people had those skills. And then also, I want to increase my income opportunities. Like, I'm trying to sell some products, I'm trying to do some partnerships, um, maybe make a little money from AdSense. I'm not quite sure exactly how that works, but it'd be cool to find out. And maybe I'll make some content and see how that goes. Another reason I'm making content is because there are a lot of things happening in the world, whether we're talking about layoffs, whether we're talking about economic changes, whether we're talking about war, whether we're talking about more taxes, more laws. All of these different things are all happening all at one time. And I personally feel like the more business and entrepreneurial skills and knowledge you have, the better you'll be prepared to weather all of those things. If you say only rely on one source of income, maybe that income is from a W 2, you are subject to whatever the world has going on. You essentially will have to put up with it because you don't have the skills to either provide income for yourself or value um, for others to get income from yourself for yourself. I think going forward, that's going to be so important for everybody. Being able to have those skills to provide value to businesses to make money, or to have those skills in order to create businesses of value in order to make money. I think as the world is going more bit digital and things are found easier online and with more convenience, as AI is reshaping how we work and what jobs we will actually be able to do, learning these things, learning these business skills and content creation could be one of those skills for you, is so important. I just want the people, myself included, to be okay. I want to make sure that I will be able to weather whatever kind of storm is coming. And I truly believe that with entrepreneurship, with building those skills, I can do that. Absolutely. And if you want to find more, or if you want to talk more about what those specific business and entrepreneur skills are, I'm going to make a separate video on that. And it'll maybe be titled How to Grow Your Small Business. So, more on that later. Okay, and then the good part. If you stayed for this long, thank you. I appreciate you. I'm going to give you exactly how I'm making content, this podcast that you're watching right now. This is how I'm making it, and how I'm making it quickly and consistently. And hopefully, you can steal it and start making content on your own. I know people are saying, oh, you shouldn't give this to people, you should sell this part, but fuck that. We're friends. I'm going to help you out. So, how I'm creating this is through Notion. So, on my Notion, I just make a document. And actually, you know what I'll do? I will make a template and I'm going to put the link so that you can get it in the description. So, it'll be this um, it'll be a Notion document, and I break it into four parts, right? The first part is the outline. That's the part that I use to basically make everything else, if I'm being honest. The It's really the most important part. First, I start with like a micro goal, like what is the point of this episode? What is it going to teach the viewer? What are they going to learn? What are they going to get out of it in exchange for their time, right? And then on that outline, I will also put an intro or a hook, something to keep the people interested. That's something that happens within the first 30 seconds of the video. The next thing I put on the outline are the main points. So, what's important? What's the viewer going to get out of this? I've watched a lot of podcasts on YouTube and have been learning a lot about making content. And I've heard several times that one thing you want to do is not do too much. And I probably did too much in this video, but oh well. But you want to keep it to three main points, right? You can have sub points in those, but three main things that the viewer can take away. And then the conclusion, transition, call to action, those parts are the last, right? So that's the first part. And then the second part is the thumbnail. The thumbnail and the title. I usually try to keep this as simple as I can. I learned a lot of what I know from Think Media and again from watching YouTube and from actually just looking at people's thumbnails. I've seen a lot of thumbnails by Alex Hermosi and Layla Hermosi, and a lot by Dan Coe, and a lot by Lewis Howes, and a lot by Think Media. I mentioned them earlier. So I just look at them, and what I've noticed is there's usually maybe three to four things going on that I see in just about everyone's video. And these are the three things. Some type of text. Usually it's very short, like 3 to 5 words. Something that's like pretty easy for me to see when I like look on YouTube with my phone. The thumbnails are always like super small, so having those 3 to 5 words, like, I guess, kind of pops, like it really draws interest in. Also, I see that they have a person. Usually it's the person who's the host, or if they're doing like an interview, and maybe the guest, and the host, but usually no more than one or two people, and their face is doing something, like something expressive, like, you know, something like that that draws you in. So that's the second thing. And then the third thing is um, some kind of background. Third thing, visual interest. Maybe it will be some kind of um, small picture. Um, I don't know, on the corner. Maybe it'll be a vibrant background. Maybe it'll be like a blurry background, but some kind of third element. So, yeah, that's how I usually try and approach my thumbnails. Also, another great person to look into some tutorials for thumbnails. Think Media, I think they have like a make a thumbnail in like 3 minutes video, like, which is really cool. And then also Vanessa Lau, she's a creator. She's made a couple tutorials around thumbnails. Definitely check those out. I'll put those in the description too. Third part of the process is the show notes. And that's where I just put all of the things that I mentioned before, all of the links that I'm going to add, anything that'll be useful to a customer or a viewer, something that could help. Also, you could put your own social like media tags in there. Usually I put a summary of what the episode or content is going to be about. Um, yeah, there's tons of different ways to make show notes. Um, Another great source for making show notes and like templates for those are ooh, I think I'm gonna butcher this. Thinkific. I'm gonna put that description. I'm gonna put that in the description too, um, and also Riverside. Um, I think they're like a podcast company, teach you about podcasts. I remember reading a couple articles about show note templates. I'll put that in the description too. All the things to help you out. And then the last section is where I actually record. So that section, because I usually will just read and if you make the outline in a way or formatted in a way that's easy for you to read, you can use that while you're recording. So then the recording section for me is just a little checklist of, oh, did you do this? Is this set up? Did you check and make sure this is working well? And that's pretty much it. That's how I make the content that I'm making that you're listening to right now. And then I upload it, and that's pretty much it. And another thing I'll add, because I'm trying to help as much as I can, provide as much value as I can so you don't struggle like how I did. Here are a couple tips that I found. I've been through a couple different platforms, and for me, I think the best platform so far is YouTube. I've been on Instagram, I've been on LinkedIn. I'm trying out TikTok, seeing how that's going. But I think Instagram, or not, I think YouTube is the best platform to use for a couple different reasons. First, the content stays on there longer than any other platform I've seen. I'm seeing videos that are 2 years old, 5 years old, that are relevant to what I'm searching for, and they're still coming up. And then also, that's the second thing, because it's a search engine. Most other platforms are platforms, but YouTube is a search engine that people are coming to find answers to issues that they're having, to find answers to products that they're trying to work or trying to find more background on. So that's a great way to be seen if you are selling products, if you are selling services, by people who are actively looking for products and services to fix their problems. And then also, the last reason I would definitely say YouTube's the best platform is, I think Think Media mentioned something about how YouTube is projected to, and content creation on YouTube is projected to grow in the next 3 years. And I want to be a part of that. So, lastly, here are a couple tips that'll hopefully help you get started and not get stuck and get rid of some of those barriers that you're having, if you're having any barriers making content and just getting started. First, create a process. Create a process to get you from the beginning to the end of making content. Have it, I guess, systemized, but don't get too tied to it. You're going to change, your process is going to change, you may end up pivoting, your topics may change, but as long as you have some kind of structure that you can come back to when everything feels like it's falling apart or going insane, or a structure that you can use to judge on whether you succeeded or not, you'll definitely want to have that kind of structure in place for yourself. The second thing is, think about ways early on to accumulate content and accumulate content easily. Maybe that's journaling for you. Maybe that's writing. Maybe that's video recording. Maybe part of you making an outline is just recording all of your feelings first and then reviewing that and then going back and making an outline and making the show notes and everything and then re-recording. But whatever your process is, just start with a way of continuously accumulating content. And maybe that's saving videos that you want to talk about those topics again. Maybe that's creating a folder for notes on your phone that you want to come back to. Also, if you're looking for some, I don't know, some things to read, some things to look at that may help you, check out Show Your Work. That's a small little book. It's this big by Austin Kleon. And I think I might do like a little review of this book later. But this book is so cool. It tells you so many reasons why you should really make content. And this book is so quick and so easy to read. It takes like less than an hour. Also, I wish someone had told me this before I started. Think about storage. Especially if you're planning on making podcasts, and especially if you're planning on making long podcasts, that's going to eat up a lot of space in your phone or in your memory card if you're using a camera, or the memory card or storage on your computer. So how will you be able to store all of that? Do you have a computer that has a large amount of space? Are you using online or cloud storage? Are you using an expandable hard drive? Just something to think about, because as you make more content, your disk space is going to fill up quickly, and you don't want to have that mess up your devices. And I know, because this has happened to me several times, where I've run out of space and I can't record anything else, or I've run out of space, so this video that I'm recording can only be a certain amount of minutes, and I don't want you to have that problem. So think about space earlier, then you won't have to have that problem. Another thing that I wish someone had told me: don't try to do everything and be active everywhere at once. Don't try to be active on Instagram and YouTube and LinkedIn and TikTok all at the same time. All these different platforms for content, they all require different things to learn and grow and be successful on those. So I say pick one place and start. And even if you find out that that one place isn't the place for you, you can always change later. That's no problem. But trying to do too many things at once could be so overwhelming that you end up not doing anything, and you end up not doing anything well. And the last thing I'm going to say before I end this video: should you post daily? Should you post weekly? Should you post multiple times a day? Should you post bi-weekly? What's the answer to that? I think the answer is going to be whatever you can do consistently, plus whatever your audience will best respond to. Now, those two things I can't necessarily tell you. They can vary based off of industry. They can vary based off of your experience. They can vary based off of what kind of content you're creating and where you're creating it at. But I will say this: what you can do consistently. Can you make content every day? Can you make content multiple times a day? If you can do that and it can be consistent, do that. If you know that you can make content consistently only once a week, do that. If you can only make content consistently once or twice a week, do that. Do whatever you can do consistently. And then the other thing: what does your audience want? Do they like daily interaction? Do they like weekly interaction. And this, again, could be influenced by what kind of content you make and where you make it. For example, if you are making TikToks where the content is shorter form, where it's quicker, then your audience may prefer multiple times a day, if not daily, as opposed to, say, if you are writing blogs or you are making a podcast, those you may be able to do weekly. You may be able to do bi weekly or multiple times a week and not necessarily daily. So, judge based off of what works best for you and what works best for your audience. And I hope you got so much value from this video. And if you would like more value, check those show notes. I'm going to put as much value as I can in there. The templates to how I make content, all of the sources and resources that I mentioned on this video. So check those out, show notes. And come back for the next one.